Hello, class. This is a short video to look at week 5. All right, so in week 5, we are going to start to look at choosing space. And we're going to take some of what you've learned in week 4 and apply it to week 5. So last week, you set up a multi-day schedule. And now this time, you're going to start to look for rooms. And when you look for space, you're going to be looking at different venues. And you'll look at lighting, sound, color, wall treatment, temperature, smell, visibility, types of room available, electricity available, which is very important, internet or Wi-Fi access. And a lot of times when you walk in a hotel, you kind of know, or a venue, is this the feel that I want for my meeting or event? Also, look for potential problems, columns, because they'll obstruct your view, windows, they can affect too much lighting in your PowerPoint, and mirrors are very reflective. So if you were giving a PowerPoint presentation, mirrors would not be good. Now, the venue may have a way to cover those, and that's something to look at. Ambiance is the feeling that you get when you enter a room. Guests tend to eat in a more brightly colored areas. Colors like hot pink, bright yellow stimulate the appetite. Dark tones dull the appetite. Incandescent lighting is warmer than fluorescent, and it's used to replicate natural light. You'll see a lot of lighting that's used, particularly in a dinner setting. Lighting in week 2, we discussed lighting, but it can be used to create a mood. Some terms to know, and you can look at those: lighting designer, the difference between the lighting director, their production. Dark time is when no one is allowed in the room. Dimmers are going to control the level and the lighting. A lot of times when you're on a site inspection, you want to go ahead and see if you have that option when you walk into a room. So room dimensions, when you consider looking at the room, you have to look at the ceiling height, the number of columns, entrances and exits, the approximate number, the quality of the restroom facilities, where they're located to your meeting rooms. Function rooms that are long and narrow have a bowling pin effect, or I like to call it shoebox effect. It makes it really difficult for the guests to mix and mingle. It's also difficult in a long, narrow room where to place the speaker. So when selecting a room, you also need to think about your audio visual and how that's going to be affected by the size of your room. Spacing, local fire codes are going to dictate the maximum number of people that can be in a room. And that is usually posted on the door somewhere. Certainly your CSM will have that information. We need to look at aisles when we're budgeting space so that the guests can go through, so that your food servers can go. It mentions that there's a minimum of 36 inches wide, preferably to have 48. And if you've ever planned aisle space for ADA, it's even bigger. If the function space includes dancing, you're going to need to have additional dance. You're going to have to reserve additional room space for the dance floor. As I mentioned here, the caterer uses square layouts. Most of these are portable and they come in 3x3. If you're going to have a bandstand, about 10 square foot per band member, a drummer is going to require more space. In order to be seen, we'll usually use risers. Risers come in 4x4 feet or 4x8. When you use risers, you should always have a handrail and light strips, some lighting so that your guests can easily walk up and down the stairs. If a guest falls for improper stage lighting or improper lighting on or rails, this could be a lawsuit waiting to happen, and you don't want that to happen. So sit down space for aisles allow 12.5 feet per guest at a round table, 10 square feet per guest at a rectangular table. Chairs typically come in 20 by 20, 18 large, or 24 by 24. This is going to affect how many people you can put around a table. Your cross aisle should be 6 foot wide. Just mentioned the need for staging or dance floor. If you have a head table, that's going to consume 25% of your floor space. And floor space is going to vary depending on the room style. Your book will say 5.5 feet to 10 square feet per guest for everyone to fit comfortably. Most hotels base it on 10 square foot. You could look at 7 square foot being comfortable in a room. COVID protocol, probably a little bit further apart. And this is calculation for audiovisual. And you'll want to spend a little bit of time with this. This is really interesting. The audience should sit no closer than twice the height of the screen and no further back than 8 times the height. And in this scenario, I've given you a calculation of looking at a screen that's 8 by 8 and 12 by 12, which that is going to make a difference on whether a group can actually fit in there of 500 attendees. And I've given you an example. And again, you'll want to spend a little bit of time with this. I'm not going to read it to you. Buffet layouts. 8-foot rectangular tables needs about 24 square feet, about 60 square feet per aisle of the tables against a wall. This gives you some tips for how to set up your buffet table. Buffet lines are usually set for 100 people, and it takes about 20 people to go through the line. If you have more than that, you may want to put, make sure that the line is double long so that the buffets can be served from both sides. So food placement, typically we put the low-cost food, salads, breads in the front. The buffet tables should not be near the doors. It goes the same thing with your bars. They should be far enough away so that they don't cause a traffic jam. Put inexpensive food on the tables with easy access. Your more expensive foods you may want to pass around, like your shrimp or lobster. Smaller plates is a great way to save money because people will load their plates, whether they're small or large. A hot buffet station will take as much as a regular buffet station. And we see the space to allocate for the bar. Room layouts. Round tables come in three sizes: 60-inch, 66, and 72. 72 is your largest. They hold 8 to 12. If you're maximizing space, you're putting 12 people to a table. That gives them very little room. Personally, I like to do 10 per table. At the 66-inch table, a little bit lower, I prefer 8. And at the 60-inch, 6 at the most. You can also set your tables with a half moon setting so that you can still see the speaker and nobody has their back to the door. There are also cocktail tables, also called high boys, and they are available in 18-inch, 24-inch, 30-inch, and 26-inch. And it's really nice to mix your round tables with that. Your rectangular tables, they come in 6 foot and 8 foot. When you're setting classroom setting, they can be 18 inches or 24. And you want to ask that during your site inspection to see if you know that your attendees are going to have a lot of stuff to put on the table, maybe a computer and some other equipment, you're going to want your 24-inch tables. Serpentine is when you use an S buffet table. And on each one of these slides here, I've given you some more information on looking at pros and cons for each style. Your rounds are used for meals, also roundtable discussions. And again, I've given you the dimensions. So function rooms, if we need to write or your attendees are going to need a flat surface, we can look at classroom style, also called schoolroom. If you have it at an angle, it's called herringbone or chevron. With the setup, the tables, as we mentioned earlier, are 6 or 8 foot long. Hotels are going to want to put 3 chairs per table. Personally, I think that's too close because somebody's going to end up straddling a leg, and normally it's me. So 2 chairs per table when possible. And you can see, always put your speaker on the longer side of the room. There's a pro and con to each of these setups. Let's look at theater. Theater is used for your general session, your plenary session. Normally, we don't set up more than 14 chairs without an aisle, and even that is a lot. The theater is the maximum number of people you can get in a room when you sit. If you are looking at the maximum number of people without chairs, then you're looking at a reception. And you'll want to look at these pros and cons because I believe they're on the quiz. U-shape, this is really good when you have like a board of directors meeting or you still need people to interact. And for a board meeting, you will typically have a writing surface. So you will have your rectangular tables. Not good for large group, but the largest I've ever seen for a U-shape would be maybe 40. And even that's way too large. If you were to take this and put tables along this side, the open side, that would become something called a hollow square. And it's good for interaction. It's bad when you have a presenter. So if you have a presenter, you want to use the U-shaped. The Statler Hotel is where you're going to be doing your homework this time. And the Statler Hotel has a little over 26,000 square feet for event space. Its largest room is 11,500. It has 10 meeting rooms, which should accommodate you just fine, but it only has 159 sleeping rooms. That is a hint that it only has 159 sleeping rooms. These are the capacity of the rooms. You can see their different styles. And what you're going to do is you're going to go in, and this will be a live link when you click on the presentation. But when you go into the actual PowerPoint, it's a live link. But what you're going to do is select these meeting rooms. We're going to pretend like they're all available for you. So you will select the meeting rooms that you want to use for the meeting that you created last week. And here we go. You're going to take the information that you learned in part 1, and you're going to use it by selecting room space. And then you'll also answer the question is, could you use the Statler Hotel or not? Why or why not? So if you use the template that I gave you, then all you will really need to do is add in the Statler room preference. So this is not a heavy assignment, but it's one where you will want to do your research and select the correct meeting rooms based on how you created the multi-day event. Right, this again goes ahead and reviews week 5 assignments. As always, please contact me if you have any questions.